Assalamu alaikum, ladies. Welcome back to Healing Aspirations with Amani. My name is Amani Obeid, your holistic dental health coach. My mission is to help women overcome their fear of the dentist and tooth pain and simplify natural oral care. Today is day number 6 of the pre-Ramadan reboot. Thank you so much for joining me. So excited to have you with me today. I'm going to talk about a topic that I'm very, very passionate about. I started it in the previous live talking about fixing your circadian rhythm, inshallah, for Ramadan so that you can feel rejuvenated and rested and energetic, inshallah. So in the previous live, I talked about how to reset your circadian rhythm. I explained the importance of getting morning sunlight exposure, and I also gave some verses in the Quran that talk about how important the difference is, the distinction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in this dunya, the distinction between day and night. And I gave several verses, and I'm going to repeat a couple of them today just in case you've missed the previous live. Having talked about natural sunlight, which is what we were meant to see in terms of light in this life, I'm going to talk about something that may be shocking to you. Some may know, some may not know, but basically I want to explain to you how technology and blue light specifically, how they're destroying your sleep and making you fat, sick, and tired. But I don't want you to worry too much. Inshallah, I'm going to teach you how to fix this. So, going back to the topic of sleep specifically, it's a very, as you know, it's a very vital component of your health and actually your body fat levels. And so many people today long for a good night's sleep. And a huge factor behind achieving quality sleep is the circadian rhythm that I talked about previously, which is your body's biological clock, where you're supposed to wake up rejuvenated. And when you go, when at nighttime, you're supposed to feel sleepy and go to sleep. And as I mentioned before, about 150 years ago, or I'm not sure the exact number, but we did not have artificial lighting. Basically, we woke up with the sun, and then when the sun went down, we went to sleep. The only extra sources of light at night were, a fire or a candlelight. And obviously, if there's a full moon, that there would be light from the full moon as well. So going back to just a couple of Quranic verses, just to remind ourselves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran, in the translation of the interpretation of the meaning, in chapter 78, verse 10, وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا, and continuing on, وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا, and made the night as clothing and made the day for livelihood. And in another verse, in chapter 3, verse 190, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and the day, are signs for those of understanding. So I just want to drive the point home that we have taken for granted, and we seem to feel so superior that now we are still able to have artificial lighting at night, and we can still continue about with our daily activities at night, even though this wasn't meant to be. And going back to sleep and the quality of your sleep, if you are not getting proper sleep, study after study has shown that it's linked to higher fat levels, especially around the waistline, obesity, and also high cortisol hormones. And technically, you're supposed to have high cortisol when you wake up. This is the hormone supposed to wake you up in the morning, and you feel excited and ready to go about your day. And at night, you're supposed to get melatonin, which helps you feel sleepy, time to unwind, time to relax, time to rejuvenate. And this is the excess cortisol hormone is what makes you have the excess belly fat when you have it at the wrong times. Now, it's not just poor sleep that causes the fat gain. It's the hormonal disruption that's associated with poor sleeps that plays a huge role. And I'm talking about this because this is relevant to so many of us today. Whether you're a mother with a baby, whether you are a student who's staying up at night to finish off your projects, or you're a busy executive that has a deadline to finish for the next business meeting. A lot of us are not getting proper sleep. And this makes you feel really drained in the morning. You feel groggy. You feel like, a truck's driven over you while you were sleeping. You do not feel like you're ready to go about your day. And you're looking at your kids like, where do they get all their energy from? You know what I mean? So as I mentioned before, the circadian rhythm, it does more than just tells your body when to wake up and when to sleep. It also influences a wide variety of hormones. And hormones are very, very powerful. If your circadian rhythm is out of whack, if it's messed up, like I said, what that would mean is your cortisol is being released at night instead of first thing in the morning. And like I said, you're feeling groggy in the morning, and you're like wide awake like an owl at night. And I'm sure this sounds familiar, and this is the case for many of us today. So what does this have to do with artificial lighting exactly? Now I'm going to get a little bit technically, but I really want to simplify it for you because I want everyone to be able to grasp this. But a lot of times when we see light, we're just thinking of visible light. And visible light actually forms a small portion of the spectrum of electromagnetic frequencies. Now, this might be a little bit more like physics, but like I said, I'm gonna simplify it for you because that's what my job is. But for today, what I'm gonna focus on is the visible light that you see. Let's take a very simple example. You've got a lamp, a light bulb. When it turns on, it emits light that you can see. And there's also something called heat in the form of infrared light that you feel. But like I said, right now I'm going to talk about specifically just what you see. Now, studies have shown that blue light and ultraviolet light, UV light, they have the most impact on your circadian rhythm. And if you think about this from an evolutionary point of view, it makes perfect sense because blue light comes from the sun, and the highest level is actually at midday. Same with ultraviolet light, right? So at dhuhr, right, the peak of the sun is when you have the peak amount of blue light. And then you notice that around sunrise and sunset, this is where there's more red-orange hues, and then again, more orange-red hues. So sunrise and sunset, more red and orange hues, and less of the ultraviolet, less of the blue light. So if you go back to the 1800s, before we had artificial lighting, by the time the sun comes down, people are already winding down their activities or done whatever they need to be done that you would require your eyes to see during the day. And you'd be just having a candle, or you'd have a fire. And like I said, if there's a full moon, there would be the full moon available as well. Now, but right now in today's video, when I'm talking about blue light, I'm not talking about the good blue light that I was talking about in the video from before. I'm talking about the blue light that's in the artificial lighting today that we are being exposed to at night. And so blue light is available in sunlight, which is good for you because the only time you can be exposed to it is at the proper time during sunlight hours. But the other blue light is from artificial lighting that unfortunately we are seeing at night. And what I want to also talk about, I talked about cortisol. I also want to talk to you about melatonin. And a lot of times people, when they're struggling with sleep, they just think, okay, I guess I'll just, take a, an herbal tea, with catnip or something that'll help me sleep. Or they'll pop a few melatonin pills, or worse yet, they'll even take some prescription medicine to induce sleep. And this is not helping you at all with your problem. You're just kind of patching it, and you're not going to ever achieve quality sleep by taking these methods that are not looking at the source of the problem, which is your circadian rhythm being messed up. The interesting thing about melatonin is that not only does it promote sleep, but it also plays a huge role in controlling inflammation in your body, and it also improves your immune system. So this is why if you're a student after several, all-nighters studying for that exam or trying to finish off that last-minute project that you need to finish, you end up getting sick right after. It's because you didn't get enough sleep, you didn't have optimal melatonin levels, so your immune system went down as a result. So you can see how your circadian rhythm being out of whack can impact you in a wide variety of ways, not just the belly fat, not just the fact that you're not waking up rejuvenated. Your body is aching, right? And if you think about it going along the same tangent, if your body is not in a proper state, how is it going to heal your teeth, right? How are you going to rejuvenate your gums? How are you ever going to be able to remineralize if your body's not even in a state of healing? Because a lot of healing happens at night. Now back to melatonin, it's normally generated 4 hours after complete darkness. And when I talk about darkness, I'm not talking just about darkness. I'm talking about it's so pitch black you can't even see your hand in front of your face. And normally, again, it varies with the light cycles, right? It depends on what time of year it is, summer, fall, spring, winter. But I guess we can say ballpark figure 2 a.m. or something. And unfortunately, modern technology is like the worst source of blue light in today's environment. And I'm going to give you a study, and it's called Evening Use of Light-Emitting E-Readers Negatively Affects Sleep, Circadian Timing, and Next Morning Alertness. And it found, and I'm going to quote this, the use of light-emitting electronic devices before bedtime prolongs the time it takes to fall asleep, delays the circadian clock, suppresses melatonin, reduces the amount and delays the timing of REM sleep, and reduces alertness the following morning. So this article is talking about, you reading on your e-reader, right? And I know right now the world has changed so much. We are not living in the 1800s where we can go back to how it used to be. We are surrounded by so many light-emitting devices. You've got your TV, you've got your phone, you've got your alarm clock, you've got your dishwasher, you've got your washing machine, you've got all the different kinds of bulbs right now. Now, before it was the incandescent bulb, which isn't as bad, but now you've got the CFLs and you've got the LEDs, which are horrific when it comes to how much blue light they emit. So it's not just TV anymore, like back, 50 years ago. There's so much more. So what it comes down to, and unfortunately this is the reality, is anytime you look at artificial lighting, you are sending a signal to your brain that it's daytime, right? Even though it's night, it's daytime. This is what your body registers. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created your body. So you're saying, well, what am I supposed to do right now? Like, how am I supposed to live my life? Like, this is the world the way it is. Well, alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, there are solutions that you can do, things that you can implement step by step to help promote your sleep. My ideal is I would love to live on a farm one day, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala one day to help me live on a farm and live a life as close to nature as possible. But I'm not there yet, but I can still do my best within my environment. So allow me to share with you a few things that you can do to promote your sleep while living in today's technology-laden world. So basically what it comes down to is eliminating as much artificial light that hits your eye as much as possible, specifically blue light. Now, a 2013 study found that even 1 week of camping with no artificial lights, not even flashlights, synchronized the circadian clocks of the 8 study subjects with the timing of sunrise and sunset. And I can testify to this, and I'll share you my own story. When I just had my daughter, she had a horrific sleeping pattern. She wouldn't nap, and she would finally take her nap at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then she would be up until midnight. It was a nightmare. And anyhow, at one point I was a couple of months pregnant with my son, and I decided to tell my son, let's go camping. So we went camping, and I decided to make it electricity-free camping. I just wanted to live as close to nature as I can, especially given in the past few years, I was going to the farms to get like organic produce. At the time I was consuming milk in its raw form before I knew that my body couldn't tolerate it. But anyhow, so I saw how the Amish lived, and it just resonated with me so much, seeing the animals and just living out with nature, not being always living indoors and whatnot. So anyhow, the point of the story is we had no electricity. And because of that, we prayed Maghrib and stayed up a little bit so we can pray Isha, the evening prayers. And that's it. We had to go to sleep. There was no option to do anything else but sleep because there was no lights whatsoever. And my daughter slept. Allahu Akbar. She actually slept that night. And the next day, we woke up shortly after, the sun came up, and I felt like it was such a rejuvenating sleep. My body was so rested. I felt strong. I felt energetic, and just hearing the birds chirping, it was just, subhanAllah, absolutely amazing. So I recommend you at one point go camping and try it without electricity and see how you feel. It's great. This gives you a little bit of the feeling of how life used to be like in the olden days. But alhamdulillah, like I said, you can still do what you can right now. So the first step I would recommend is a lot of people are moving towards these for cost reasons and for environmental reasons. The amount of LED lights and CFL lights that are present. So try to go back to the classic incandescent bulb. Yes, I know it's more expensive, but think about your health. You're worth it. And after all, if you think about it, taking care of your health today is an investment for tomorrow, right? So that's the first thing, because the incandescent bulb actually doesn't have as much blue light as the other bulbs, LEDs and the CFLs. That's number one. Now, within an hour of sunset, switch off your lights and use candles. And you're like, man, this is like going overboard. If this is too much for you, you can use another type of incandescent bulb, such as this one. So, I am known for this among my family, among my friends. This is an amber incandescent bulb. And try to get one that's a low wattage, about 15 watts or less. So I use these at night. So let's say I need to finish off my work in the kitchen. I switch my light up there to this one. So I have a nice red-orange hue without any blue. So it's kind of simulating the candlelight at night. Okay, so that's this one. Now, another option is you could use a Himalayan salt lamp like the one I have here. I go with, and it naturally produces like an orangish hue, but I go a step further and I actually take the bulb, not sure if you can see this here, and I actually replace the bulb in here with also an orange one. So it gives it a really nice glow, and I'll turn it on right now for you. It's obviously more beautiful at night, but you can see the type of hue. Not sure if you can see it very well here. That's how it looks like. So this is what we use at night. So after sunset, after Maghrib, this is the light that we have. We pray with it, read with it. If we need to read, and read a little bit more light, like I said, we use an incandescent bulb that has a little bit more light. If you want to radically, oh, I'm getting a comment here. Yanit saying, my family will freak out. I'm already turning off the Wi-Fi. I have candles, so that's good. Yeah, you go for candles, man. They're absolutely amazing. Also a great chance to have a romantic time with your loved ones, inshallah. Yeah, my family thinks I'm a freak too, but it doesn't matter. Like, you are the boss of your own health, right? 10 years down the road when you're suffering from something, who's going to help you other than yourself? Obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? First and foremost, but you have to take the steps, and you're doing your research, and when you're convinced, you go about doing something, you don't care what people think. That's how I operate. So anyhow, continuing on with some more, options and some more suggestions to optimize your sleep. If you really want to optimize your sleep, like switch to these lights within an hour of sleeping, but if you really want to optimize, within 2 hours. And what you want to do, and this might be hard, no TV, no phones, no tablets, no e-readers, no computers, no laptops, nothing. Buy books instead of reading them on an e-reader, okay? Actually, I'm going to go a bit on another tangent. I just have so many thoughts in my head. I want to make sure I share them with you before I forget, because I'm constantly jumping from one thing to the next. If you think about it, the other thing that's really weird about today's day and age is we were never meant to look at light. We were meant to have light to help us see. But right now we live in a day and age where we're actually looking at light. So looking at TVs, light, laptop, light, phone, light, e-reader, right? And this actually harms your eyes. There's actually, if you look at studies online, there's a lot of studies that show the detrimental effects of artificial blue light on your vision. And I would not be surprised if this next generation of people are going to have some serious eye problems because of all the technology and the fact that we're actually not going outside and allowing our eyes to see far away. We're constantly living inside, looking at things up close. Like, you can just imagine the effects of that, but that's a whole other topic on its own. But anyhow, buy books instead of an e-reader. If you need to read an article online, print it instead. This is what I do. I print an article so I can get a chance to read it at night. Much less harmful for you, and that way you don't disrupt your sleep. So for example, after Maghrib, you can read your Quran over a candlelight, right? Do your dhikr, do your adha, like that, or like the Himalayan salt lamp. Now, but what if you really have to use a screen, like shortly before bed? What are you going to do when it comes to that? So there's a couple options you can do. There's a program called Flux, and I will make sure soon to post a link for that application. It's something that you download. And what it does is it changes the color of your screen based on your time zone. And it like synchronizes it with the sun. So what happens is as the sun goes down, the screen becomes more red and more red tinted, and the blue frequencies are kind of reduced. For your phone, there's Android has an application called Twilight, so that does the same thing. And like I said, I'll link for those two applications so you can install them, inshallah. Another suggestion I have, even if you have those applications installed on your computer or laptop or your phone, because you're still looking at light, right? And like I said, we're not really meant to look at so much light. Wear blue blocking glasses such as these. Yes, they're dorky, but I don't care. They help. If you wear these, they block out a lot of blue light. So they will also kind of settle you down and make your body realize it's nighttime, time to relax, time to rejuvenate. Some other tips that you can do. If you have a digital clock, get rid of it. Use an analog clock instead. I mean, think about it. See, how many of us have, digital clocks with like the greenish, bluish hue glaring at us, right? It's horrific. And if you wake up at night looking at it like, oh my God, that's painful. So use that, inshallah. If you're very, very sensitive, also you can wear an eye mask. Because believe it or not, even our skin senses light. But our eyes are the primary sensors. That's why I said the other day in my video, I talked about when you go outside to get your sunlight exposure, take off your glasses. And if you wear contacts, don't wear contacts. And obviously don't wear sunglasses. Your eye needs to be able to see that sunlight to register it in your body. So similarly at night, it might be beneficial for you to wear an eye mask so you can completely get rid of all the light exposure. Because even some studies have shown that even just a small amount of light that's perceived through closed eyelids, because I mean, even if you close your eyes, let's say you're laying down outside in the sun and you close your eyes, you can still sense the light. So similarly, the same thing would happen at night and it would disrupt your circadian rhythm. So wear an eye mask. My one last tip is if you must get up in the middle of the night so you can use the washroom, don't turn on the main lights. And I'm sure no one really likes to do that. You turn them on and your eyes are just feeling so much pain from that, right? Again, this is something we weren't used to. So instead, just plug into your bathroom a night light and make sure it's an orange tinted one. If you want to go really, really far with that, you can choose a red one, which absolutely has like the most calming light of all. So that's it for today. I just want to really drive the point home that the more we move away from the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended our environment to be, the more we disrupt our body cycles and our health. And light has a huge, huge impact on both of these. And many of us today are just oblivious to this. I mean, I myself look at myself and I was like, oh my God, how did I live my life before? Like me and my husband and I would talk about this. We are so used to these lights at night. We can't imagine like having regular lighting. Like it's horrific. And so the amount of changes that have happened to us over the last 150 years, and especially over the last 10 to 15 years in terms of technology and all the things we're bombarded with, it's not normal. And our body can't evolve that fast to accommodate these changes. You know what I mean? So the fact that we're flooded with all this artificial lighting is not to our benefit. There's consequences to it, and we have to recognize and not just live in denial. And we should do something about it. You know what I mean? And the reason you're like, but what does this have to do with Ramadan? And a lot of times I find, especially as Ramadan comes into the summertime, and I don't think this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended, the majority of people, if they can get away with it, is they sleep during the whole day and then they wake up at night. That's not what it was meant to be. You know what I mean? And they're socializing in the middle of the night and they're going out, and obviously there's lots of artificial lighting there, whether it's restaurants or this or that. This wasn't meant to be. If we are told that we're supposed to do extra prayers in the middle of the night and get up and pray in the middle of the night, but this was done with a candle back in the day, right? It wasn't done with artificial lighting. And you're supposed to be doing things that are calming and relaxing, rejuvenating, like reading Quran, dhikr, and dua. So this is what we should be doing.